Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Pilzer, and today I'm going to be talking about why you should live in the present rather than dwelling on the past. I guess you could also extend that to stop being anxious about the future and stop over worrying about the future. That's also important, but I'm going to focus more on the past because I feel like not only did I used to do this a lot. Hang on, let's wait for that car to pass. Anyway. Hang on, another one's coming. Yeah, but...
another one.
Never mind, they keep on coming. We'll just talk anyway. So, I feel like it's more important that we talk about why you shouldn't dwell on the past, because that is a very common trait I've realised about not only the modern man, but how I used to be as well. I used to do that a lot, is that I used to basically just dwell on the past and sort of be like, it's definitely something a modern man does a lot, like, you know, the low testosterone men do, is we sort of over-dwell on past mistakes and we let that define us in a way. And I feel like it's really important that we start changing our mindsets. I already have a video about mindset, but I can link it actually, but this is a bit different, because you need to change your mindset to sort of be more willing to be in the present and stop dwelling in the past, because that's something so many people are doing in this modern world. Whether it's in the form of always thinking about past mistakes, or being sort of in a way paranoid about your past self. For example, I remember when I was still low testosterone guy, you know, a bit basically a loser. What I used to do a lot is I was there was a lot of embarrassing pictures of me in primary, still have them actually, and I used to be so paranoid that someone would find them. Or another example is I would always try to cover up. If someone brought up something from my past, or my past self, I would always try to cover it up. I guess that's also just another trait of the modern man, is they just they try and not only hide criticism, but whenever something negative shows up about them, instead of dealing with it positively, they just try actively avoid it and change the topic and everything. I remember that just used to be my go-to method, is I'd just try to change the topic instantly, and it was just clear that I was just a weak man by doing this. So what do you need to do to stop dwelling on the past and stuff? Well, I feel the answer's pretty simple, to be honest. It's just self-improvement. Again, I feel that's the answer for a lot of these videos or whatever. It's just self-improvement, and just start well, actually more specifically, meditation obviously helps, because that's more for mindfulness. Mindfulness is legit being present, which is what we're trying to aim as well. But also I feel by just growing yourself as a person over time, you become almost appreciative of your past self, and you don't even mind your past self. Even now, well, that car almost ran me over. Anyway, even now, if someone was to, if my friends, or I don't know, my crush or something, I don't really, to be honest, that's another thing I feel that I can do for a separate video anyway, is that as a modern man we tend to have crushes, and that's more of a feminine thing, which is because men are so feminine nowadays. We sort of have these feminine traits, such as obsessing over the opposite sex, and you know, obsessing over a person whilst the other person's not even thinking of you at all. I see this so much with these modern men and stuff, is that they're over obsessing over these a specific girl. It's always with the loser boys as well, and I'm sort of thinking, I almost have to be how pathetic are you that you're just sitting there not even thinking about your life, not thinking about your future, or even in school and stuff, where you're not even paying attention to the class because you'd much rather obsess over a girl who's probably spoken to you like twice in your life, and it's a bit pathetic, I can't lie. So I feel like once you grow yourself as a person, you sort of become appreciative. So now, again, like I said, if you pull up like a picture of me to like, I don't know, some attractive girls that I like somewhat like, yeah, I feel like that's another thing. Like I said, like instead of crushes, you just sort of have like a couple like girls you like, but it's not like to a point where you're fantasizing about them or just thinking about them when you're going to bed and stuff. I feel like that's definitely a trait. If you can relate to this right now, you need to change ASAP, because I remember I used to do this, and I know a lot of guys in my class who still do this, and actually a fuck ton of guys still do this, especially like the weaker, like the losers and stuff. They always just I mean, I refer to them as losers because I feel like you have to be harsh, but I still have hope that they, like me, can always change. So by losers, I don't mean like losers, but I do mean it in the sense that they have to change. But I'm not saying that they won't change, and I am hoping they will change. But yeah, in conclusion, I think that's sort of the key to it, is just growing as a person. I feel like for dwelling a past bit, you need to grow mentally, but also like physically. You also need to grow, so that's by going gym, you know, by fighting, by meditating, journaling. I think those are the key ways to tackle it. And especially, I feel like journaling would be very helpful on this topic, because what I like to do is, yeah, after a year and a half-ish, or whenever, to be honest, but every like 1.5 years, what I'm going to start doing is just rereading my entire journals, and sort of it's actually really beneficial doing that, I think, because you actually get to see almost like a timeline of all the progress you made. Because when you're at this stage that you are right now, presuming that you have already like been on self-improvement for like 2 years or something, if not, then you will get to this point. But presuming that you have been on self-improvement for like 2 years, you don't actually realise just how much you are until you actively like read about, I don't know, like your journal entries, or if you like actively think about how you were, or look at old photos and stuff like that. But even I feel like journaling is much more better, because you get to see how your mindset improved as well. Yeah, and once you see the sort of progress that you've made, it's gonna be so hard to unsee it, to a point where you just become appreciative of where you are now. And if you also like upgrade your social skills, gain more confidence, which comes naturally with self-improvement anyway, then you'll find that you don't really dwell on the past, and you don't really care in a sense about your past self, as in you dwell on it, or dwell on past mistakes, because that's another thing. You need to change your mindset. Mistakes are a part of learning, and I know that's sort of a cliche, but you have to learn from your mistakes, and learning from others' mistakes as well, and just that's part of the process. As long as you're willing to keep working hard and keep making mistakes, you are bound to achieve success.